The headline medical stories that affect you and your family. This is What's Happening in Health, sponsored by Mayfield Brain & Spine.
Morning, everybody, and welcome to What's Happening in Health. We have some great stories of hope and healing today for you this Sunday morning. We want to begin today with a wonderful story on overcoming addiction. This is video of Maddie's house, and they are part of a partnership with Glenwood Behavioral Health. So we are lucky to have in-house Dr. Colleen Thomas-Phillip. She is here with Julie Raleigh to hear how they are helping those who need a safe place in our community. And getting a mammogram or an MRI plays a key role in early detection of breast cancer. But what happens when those screenings are too expensive and the care around them isn't covered? Well, you may recall we met Michelle Young a time or two here. She is part of something now called the Pink Eraser Project. We're going to talk about that. She's here with Tiffany Mattingly with the Health Collaborative, and they've been active in a couple of legislative acts. We're going to find out more just where we are in getting this all covered this Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But first, the team at Mayfield Brain & Spine reminding us today that smoking is linked to back pain, as well as chronic illnesses such as cancer. Now there is new research that it is never too late to quit smoking, even if you've already been diagnosed with this illness. A Washington University School of Medicine study showed 2 years after cancer treatment, patients had a higher rate of survival if they went through a smoking cessation program during treatment. This was most effective, believe it or not, among patients with later stage cancers. Researchers say they hope that this information provides even more motivation for patients to kick the habit. All right, on now to our top story this half hour. It is in what we call Hope You Know, which is what we hope you know about your mental health each month. There is nothing better, if you are a coffee lover this time of year, than when you get served up pumpkin spice. But there's a seasonal shift that accompanies pumpkin spice, and that might not be quite a cup of comfort. There is no shortage of people looking for that cup of comfort every day here at Kentucky's Roebling Books and Coffee.
We're busy all the time, which is wonderful.
The brew itself has lots of antioxidants, which are powerful disease fighters. But add that pumpkin spice taste and coffee drinkers will tell you,
I've enjoyed coffee since I was 6 years old.
It's the perfect complement to those early mornings as daylight shrinks across the sky. But that shift in season, Beth Gifford, an adjunct business professor at Ohio's Cedarville University, says is the perfect setup for what's commonly referred to now as pumpkin spice lethargy.
I believe this is real. It really is seasonal effectiveness disorder.
Beth says the back-to-work post-summer slump and shorter days leads to more sick calls to work this time of year compared to other seasons.
It is really a combination of multiple things, both truly seasonal and others, more emotional.
As for how to fix it, start, she says, by sitting less and moving more.
Don't sit at your desk all day. Don't sit in front of a computer all day. Set the alarm on your phone to go for a walk, and ideally outside.
If more of your lethargy comes from the emotional side, that feeling that you aren't valued or challenged at work,
you have got to reach out to someone that you trust as a safe place and discuss, how can I feel more valued?
Beth suggests you make that pumpkin spice coffee stop part of a few healthy conversations in your day. It breaks up the monotony and doesn't have to be just a summertime thing. And finally, there's also some thought that overconsumption of the pumpkin spice sugary drinks can make you feel a little sluggish this time of year as well. So pacing may help you a bit and keep that pep in your step. All right, on now to Ask a Nurse. As we talked to students this week at Mount St. Joseph University, we were able to ask them not just about the nursing program, but also the physician's assistance program. They were soaking up some of the good weather in the quad recently on campus. Health sciences have recently expanded on this campus, and this does appear to be a big attraction for newer students.
The physician assistant program, it's a 2.5-year program, 27 months. The first 12 months of the program consists of classwork, where we're looking in books, learning disease pathology, treatment, and then the next year and a half is clinical year, and that's where we get our on-the-job training, hands-on working.
And we do want to remind you each year the Mount does hold its Leadership in Nursing Awards, and that is coming up this week on Wednesday, October 22nd at the Dries Pavilion. I'll be out there to help MC it, and we'd love to have you join us. For ticket information, just click inside this story at what'shappeninginhealth.com. Finally, topping this half hour in Listen to This. There are promising results from a study involving children and hearing. This study, published in the New England Journal of Medicine, researchers looked at those who have a rare genetic form of hearing loss, and there are a small number of babies born with it each year. They are nearly fully deaf because of an altered gene. The gene makes a protein that the hairs in our inner ears need to relay sound signals to the brain. Often these patients rely on cochlear implants for their entire lives. But this research shows that when you give them gene therapy, they don't need those implants. The treatment still needs approval from the FDA, but it's very promising. This, by the way, was a small study conducted, and further research is now expected. All right, just ahead, meet our donor of the week. Learn why she feels compelled to help others by giving blood. Plus, we're going to hear from Dr. Colleen Thomas-Phillip from the Glenwood Behavioral Health Hospital, and Julie Raleigh's here from Maddie's house. How they've teamed up to help in healing. Next on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Life Enriching Communities and Hawksworth.
Morning, everybody, and welcome back to What's Happening in Health. Our donor of the week this week, a UC student from Cleveland, Celia Bentrott, recently donated at a blood drive on UC's main campus. She also donated blood, she said, when she was in high school. Bentrott says she is happy to help and thinks that it's the easiest thing to do to support anyone in the medical community.
I think it's probably the easiest way that people are able to sort of help support the medical field. Like most people are eligible to donate, and it's something that's very easy to just go and do real quick. And it's very helpful, and you save a lot of people.
Hawksworth has a special appeal for platelet donors between now and the end of the year. And if you donate 4 times in that time period, you can receive, you by the way, can give platelets every 2 weeks, just so you know. You can receive 2 free tickets to a Cyclones hockey game. To schedule an appointment, 513-451-0910, or you can schedule online through the Hawksworth app. We also have a link to the neighborhood centers at what'shappeninginhealth.com. All right, on now to a wonderful team in-house. We have mental health specialties. We have Maddie's house. So, Colleen, let's start with you. Tell us who you are and what you do.
I am Dr. Colleen Thomas-Phillip. I'm the CEO at Glenwood Behavioral Health Hospital. At our hospital, we provide inpatient and outpatient treatment to people seeking support for mental health and substance use challenges.
So we are excited because she recently came to us and said, we've partnered with Maddie's house. Do you know about them? And I said, well, they've been around for a few years, but we haven't had a chance to go out there and whatnot. So tell us a little bit about you.
Well, Liz, thanks for having us on. And I lost my daughter, Maddie, at the young age of 24 years old. She started with mental health issues when she was young. She had a deep trauma. A lot of the young kids that go down the road of, substance use have a trauma. And Maddie had the trauma and started using alcohol and drugs, and her mental health just declined, and the road was really tough. And I had to lose Maddie to listen to Maddie. She told us what she needed, and it was a place like Maddie's house. She said, I go in and out of rehabs, Mom, but when I get out, there's nowhere bright and colorful to go. I have nowhere to go. I have no more, they tell you to change people, places, and things. Well, as a young girl, that's hard to do, to try and create a new community, try and find new friends. So Maddie's house, after we lost her, I declared war on substance use disorder and mental health, and I said I'm going to do it, and we've done it, and we partnered with Mercy Health. They gifted us a beautiful property that we opened 2 years ago. We have over 1,800 members. We're a mental health hangout for recovering young adults, and worked so well with Dr. Colleen and her wonderful staff at Glenwood.
Yeah, I love the mental health hangout idea because you guys really encourage that as part of your outpatient program as well.
Yeah.
We recently did have a chance to stop out at Maddie's house, as she mentioned, this addiction recovery wonderful place. And they really are making a difference in helping people who battle this disease. Here's a little more.
I lost my daughter, Maddie, at the young age of 24. She was battling mental health illness and substance use disorder.
Julie Raleigh is now the founder and CEO of Ohio's Maddie's House. It's a place which connects those in addiction recovery to just about everything needed to stay sober.
She went in and out of rehabs, in and out of psychiatric hospitalizations, and there was no aftercare, not a lot of aftercare. And I think she felt at the end she'd become a burden to the family, and she took her own life.
It's located on the campus of Ohio's Glenwood Behavioral Health Hospital. A reminder, the team says here, that sometimes the most delicate time in drug and alcohol recovery is the transition out of inpatient rehab.
When you're home and you have nothing to do, think about a place like Maddie's house where you can engage in activities with people your age and really have a space where you're not just sitting with your thoughts alone.
Julie honors Maddie's memory by reminding all of those who build community in this bright, colorful space they have a soft place to land. They have indoor programs and outdoor activities, all at no cost and with no time limit to those who need them in recovery.
We have a lot of members that have just gotten out of jail and they don't have a job. They don't have a car. We have transportation. We pick them up. We have a transit van. We have babysitting here on campus, so we take away any barrier that we can take away so that we continue building that road to healthy.
It's really a national model, Julie says, for the part of recovery that for many is often missing. The time right after rehab, when you need someone there to lift you up. So I'm really wondering, how is the partnership going? Like when you have clients, are they open to this kind of a place to have continued support?
Yeah, and we're daily advocating for people to go over to Maddie's house because especially with outpatient programming, people will go back home, they're in a community, and instead of sitting alone, walk over to Maddie's house. So we're always willing to walk people over and just get a tour and see what it's about. Because I truly believe that true healing happens with the combination of clinical treatment and community support.
So when they first come to you then, you know, out of this sort of, I'll say structured environment, is it really kind of terrifying?
I think when they walk in the door, the first thing they say is, feels like home. And so many of them, I think, live in sober living homes or you know, homeless shelters, or have just gotten out of jail, got out of Glenwood, and they come here. It's a bright, I think you saw on the story, it's bright and colorful, because that's what Maddie said. This is such a dark disease, mental health and substance use disorder. It's dark, so trying to find that light and bring in the color is important, I think, especially in their recovery and their road to recovery, and keeping them walking that. And everything we do is free. Everything. We have field trips. They actually just went to Kings Island Halloween Haunt. We took 18 of our members in our transit van up there, and one of the girls came up to me afterward and she said, you know what? Number one, I could have never afforded to go here. I wouldn't have had friends to go with, and you gave me such a great night. So they look forward to our field trips. We went to WWE a couple weeks ago. So we're always open to listen to them. What are things that they want to do, and how can we help them have that gift of healing and moving forward into staying healthy.
And Colleen, one of the things I've learned from you is that this is always kind of a layering process to healing. And so when you have this kind of a partnership, is it just one more layer in helping someone stay strong in whatever that need is?
Yeah, because when they're seeking treatment, when they're in our hospital, when they're in our outpatient facility, we connect them to services, right? Because we want them to continue to work on getting well once they leave our hospital. So it is additional layer to ensuring that people are getting that help in the community, because if not, it's just a revolving door.
Right.
So we have to partner together to ensure that in hospital settings and outpatient settings, people are also then reaching out in the community and utilizing resources like Maddie's house so that they don't have to sit in isolation and don't have to be lonely at home. They can connect with other people that might be going through the same thing that they're going through.
Yeah. And that reconnection of new people is really important, because if you go back to the same old friends, you get kind of sucked into the same routine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, we know one of the things you try to do is to break down these barriers, and you've got a great Halloween event coming up to do that. Tell me a little bit about that. I love that idea.
Next Thursday, the 23rd, from 4:30 to 6, we have a trunk or treat event. And we're just inviting anyone and everyone in the community. Families can come out and safely trick or treat. There will be activities and decorated trunks, and our hospital will be all decorated. And we just invite people to come and have a good time.
Well, I love the idea of the healthier environment that's bright and colorful, and you can bring kids, because I didn't realize until I was doing some research recently, that's a big night for drinking and things like that, that you don't want people sort of to, kind of feel that pull. And then we also want to make sure people know where Maddie's house is. You don't have to be a Glenwood patient. You can come from some other patients. So you are on Kipling Avenue, just sort of on that border where the hospital is, and anybody can walk in, call you. How do they hook
call
up?
us. Check our website at mhcincy.org with a Y. Cincy is with a Y. mhcincy.org, or call our number. It's really easy. 513, like LaRose's is 347. Ours is 347 Maddie. So it's very simple.
That's very sweet. All right, well, we are grateful to both of you for just continuing to keep this message out there, but most importantly for being a non-judgmental, safe place for young men and women.
Thank you.
Thanks
for having us.
Thank you.
We're honored to have you. All right, God bless you. All right, up next, there will soon be another test to help detect Alzheimer's disease. We're going to tell you about that. And as you may know, October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We're talking the Pink Eraser Project and House Bill 271 and 371. We're going to sort this all out with Tiffany and Michelle coming up on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Miami University, the Vein Center of Cincinnati, and Lindner Center of Hope.
In Aging Gracefully today, doctors will soon have another tool to help rule out whether or not a person has developed Alzheimer's disease. The Food and Drug Administration has approved another blood test that could help determine whether someone has this illness. Roche Diagnostics developed the new test with pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly. Officials say the test is geared toward adults 55 and older who are showing signs of cognitive decline. It works by testing for higher levels of a protein known to be associated with Alzheimer's. This is the second blood test the FDA has approved to help detect Alzheimer's disease. And quick reminder, the Alzheimer's Association of Greater Cincinnati has two upcoming events for caregivers. Both events are free. They're held virtually. One's October 23rd, 6:30 to 8, and that's about making care plans. And then October 30th at 11 a.m., there is a home safety program, and it will allow you to support independence as well as a few other things.
We also need to be concerned about safety and home, trip hazards, things of that nature as we age, regardless of, our physical condition.
Dana and Susie, who you saw there, joined us a few weeks ago to talk about this. If you'd like to register for the program, we have a link on our website. Just go to what'shappeninginhealth.com. In your Healthy Rights today, making sure all women in Ohio have access to life-saving screening for breast cancer. In 2022, you may recall, House Bill 371 was passed to help with next-level screenings and insurance coverage. But last May, this group of women also got together to launch the BEST Act and take this one step further to try and make sure that women have no out-of-pocket costs for breast cancer screenings. So for us, that means we have the right people in-house to tell us a little bit more about where this is now and how this is making a difference in our community. We want to welcome Michelle Young, Tiffany Mattingly. Michelle, tell us about you.
Oh, hi. Well, I've been fortunate enough to have known Jean Schmidt for years. And when in 2018, because I have dense breast, my cancer was missed, and I came in stage 4, I asked Jean to help us because it was a question of really the insurance companies denying extra screening when we know that women with dense breasts, 45% of them, you won't find the cancer necessarily. So Jean and I began to work, and with Tiffany and across the state, to create the first law which would save many lives. And I'm happy to say that our first bill, which was 271, saved so many lives that I am in a supermarket or a store, and a doctor or a patient will stop me and thank me and say, my cancer was caught because I was able to have supplemental next level screening after my mammogram showed a dark spot, and I was able to go further.
And while that had been covered, there's always sort of been this fight for this next level thing. So Tiffany, tell us about you. You were instrumental in kind of helping to make sure we structurally kind of had this happen.
Yeah, so my role at the Health Collaborative is to work with the hospitals, bring them together on common ground to solve problems. and to better understand how we can operationalize efforts such as House Bill 371, which is now law on how patients access breast cancer screening. And once House Bill 371 was put into law, we worked with the hospitals to best understand how to operationalize those changes to ensure that all women had access to breast cancer screening and that they were not being billed for those screenings. And we also worked on what the language would look like to notify a patient if they had dense breasts, because that's really where that next step in screening comes in. And so we pulled together work groups within the hospitals to help inform Rep. Schmidt and Michelle and others who were working on kind of the next step of this bill. What's working well and what's not, and what do we need to do to really move this forward and ensure that we have that at the heart of this bill, our intention is being met.
And let me say that Jean was unusual, because Jean and Tyler, who works with her, we've had meetings for four years, really, across the state, asking the hospitals, the major stakeholders, all, are you getting what you need?
Well, and part of that's critical because, you know, how do I know if I have dense breasts? There were so many things that played into that. But one of the things that we also need to say is you are a survivor and you have really overcome some odds. So I would be amiss if I didn't just ask, how are you?
I've overcome the odds, but truthfully, stage 4, the odds, stage 4, the chances of living 3 years are about 50%, and 5 years, even smaller.
And you're out now.
I'm 7 years.
Praise God.
But praise God. But 10 years, there's perhaps 5 or 10%. So each year, my odds go down. And I'm always taking medications, which are going to get more severe as the disease progresses against the odds.
So what that tells us, though, is that we have learned in many ways that sometimes, just like high blood pressure, which we're managing for life on medicines, we've been able to manage.
Well, no, not actually. I think I'm the rare exception. Truthfully, we have put the vast majority of the research, the pink ribbon movement, the vast majority has gone to early stage cancer. So 99% of the people with early stage cancer will be cured. Somewhere between 6 and 12% goes to my stage. So when I reach this number of years, I said, well, what can treat me? And there aren't many answers. And
so since then, you came up with the Pink Eraser Project. We have a little video of just some of the early detection things. So tell us about the Pink Eraser Project.
Well, the Pink Eraser Project is meant to close the other gap. First, let me say, it includes what we're doing here, because the most important thing to end breast cancer, to erase it, is what she's doing, what Jean Schmidt.
But what is the Pink Eraser Project?
The Pink Eraser Project is an attempt in a race against time to transform the standard of care. It's twofold. First, we have to have early detection, because with the way the world works, if you have early detection, then you don't deal with the problems I have. You have cure.
But your point is valid that many people don't. So what then does
the question is what should the standard of care, and where does science need to go? And the answer is the Pink Eraser Project is meant to turbocharge change so that people like me can be treated so we can live longer than the expectation, okay, which is less than 10 years for me, and that also that we can be cured. And that would unleash the energies of about 900 to 1,000 women we know of on the planet, 44,000 a year, but more than that, millions more who are taking very toxic drugs without an alternative. And the real reason why is because we haven't looked and said, what is their humanity? What could be done with today's science, which is extraordinary, okay? Could we bring these trials to them? Do we need to expand the trials to reach women? Could we bring the science to them? And the answer is yes. And God willing, and it's going to take a lot, my hope is that the Pink Eraser Project will actually, just as it turbocharged early detection here, and thanks to Katie Couric, inspired the Find It Early Act, I would love to turbocharge a transformation of care so that we no longer have limited lives and damaged lives and deaths due to breast cancer. It will be erased. It'll be it'll be a subject of the past. It will be as if it was typhoid or some ancient illness.
Which we have wiped out, and we'd love to hear that. All right, so final thought I have to give to Tiffany. You now know that takes legislation, it takes money. What's the next step?
It does. It takes education. It takes empowering our communities to be educated about what their rights are, what their access, or how they can access breast cancer screening. So really providing our community and women with the agency and the empowerment to really move forward and take those steps to get their screenings.
Well, this is not a one and done for us. We're going to have you back because we know that you're just getting started with this. And if anyone can do this, Michelle and the army of people that love you, count me in. Want to get the word up that we love you. Thank you for what you're doing today. We're grateful that you're here.
Oh, thank you.
Piece of your message. All right, coming up, there is a new way to test for diabetes. We're going to talk about that and how it could prevent problems coming up, especially before patients notice symptoms. And October is Liver Disease Awareness Month. Look who's in the house for us. Don, look at your camera there. Give me a hello. Don is here. He is a transplant survivor there. He's with Lorraine Steele, Dr. Amoa Yeboah-Karang, Dr. Alexander Bondoc. They are just a few of the people here who are helping us learn more about liver disease. It's coming up in our next half hour on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Network for Hope and William E. Hesch Law.
In your so vain, no more blood tests. Ultrasound may help detect diabetes instead. This according to new research at the University of Michigan. They provided this video. The ultrasound would be of a patient's shoulder or thigh muscle, and it could help us see if that patient has insulin resistance. It's one of many conditions linked to diabetes, which is often not detected in early stages.
And more importantly, when patients with type 2 diabetes are finally diagnosed, more than half of them have irreversible complications. So our newest findings show that we can detect something even earlier than that, insulin resistance, which is really important because if you can stop that, if you can catch it early and treat it early, you can really stop these irreversible complications and that conversion into type 2 diabetes, which we thought was very important.
The ultrasound screening is only in the research phases at this point, but right now blood tests, probably your most significant thing when they give you a finger stick or send you to the lab and you get your hemoglobin A1C. Good way to find out. All right, in Healthy Innovations today, a recent program at Miami University gave those with disabilities an adventure in the great outdoors. They call it the Adaptive Nature Park. It's in Oxford, and it was recognized and organized by a biology professor who is paralyzed. The Bridge Adaptive Sports and Recreation Organization co-sponsored this event. Participants on hand cycles learned about Ohio's native habitats, local wildlife, invasive species, all in that area. Bridge Group advocates for accessibility to parks and trails, especially for those who have limited ability. All right, just ahead, progress in the treatment of prostate cancer. We'll share how it could help outcomes. Stay with us.
The headline medical stories that affect you and your family. This is What's Happening in Health, sponsored by TriHealth.
Morning, everybody. Welcome back to our second half hour here on What's Happening in Health. Thank you for staying with us today or just joining us if you're waking up. October is Liver Disease Awareness Month. And this is actually Don, who had a liver transplant. He is now passionate about education, so Don brought friends. We want to welcome Lorraine Steele, Dr. Amoa Yeboah-Karang, Dr. Alexander Bondoc. They're all here with us today to talk about liver disease, saving lives, and much more. So glad to have you this half hour. But first, quick headline for you. The HPV vaccine has been shown to be very effective in preventing cervical cancer. After years on the decline for that cancer, however, there are new concerns that this vaccine won't be promoted as a lifesaver the way it should be. Here's what the team at TriHealth wants us to know about it.
Even in patients who only received one dose of the vaccination, there was a huge reduction in the propensity to test positive for one of these HPV subtypes later on in their lives.
So if you are needing information about this, you can call the Women's Health Provider, 513-246-2496. That is the number for the TriHealth Women's Services. All right, our top story this half hour, look good, feel better. And if those tattoos are bothering you, there is a newer laser that can help remove them. It is not a quick fix. It takes several treatments. It's painful and it's expensive. But the team at the Advanced Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center says that the Pico Sure laser does work.
So the Pico Sure laser is a laser that fires 1 trillion times a second at a wavelength of 755. So it's used to target tattoo ink that's either black, blue, green, some purple, some reds.
That does give it an advantage over the old removal lasers that maybe only targeted 1 or 2 colors. It can cost you several $100s a treatment, and you may need more than one. All right, there's also new research today, and it could give us progress in the fight against prostate cancer. A Flinders University study identifies 2 enzymes in the body that cause cancer cells to grow and resist treatment. By using medications that block those enzymes, researchers say they are able to boost the effectiveness of prostate cancer treatment. All right, gaining strength to manage everyday activities. Ahead, we'll explain what functional fitness is all about. And liver disease awareness. Don, Lorraine, Amoa, Alexander, all here to help us learn more a little bit about liver disease. We'll tell you about it coming up on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Metro.
Welcome back, everybody. Functional fitness. It focuses on workout moves that can help you mimic a lot of everyday moves that you do in real life. Things like lifting, carrying, bending, twisting. These can work to improve the way you move and lower your injury risk.
Mobility is key.
They are the kind of moves you see here. Grace Greiner is doing in this functional strength class.
It is a weight class, so we do circuit style as well as strength training.
The strength moves in here help out here. Twisting, digging, gardening.
I can tell a difference every day. Even bending down, picking things up, sitting at work, everything, I feel a lot stronger. Really what it's designed for is to train your body to handle everyday living.
That might mean being able to lift things without hurting your back. Jackie Shannon says she's a personal trainer here at Ohio's My Fitness Suites.
I always say, let's start with the basic. Go hold your body weight up, hold a plank, start with push-ups, do some dips on the side of your coffee table, but then slowly start to build.
Functional fitness is also training designed to keep you flexible. That can help you when you just need to reach for things, say at the grocery store.
The idea behind functional fitness is to move the body in a way where you're resistance training, strength training, in conjunction with how the body was meant to move.
One recent study even found that functional fitness can add years to your life. When you think about it, it helps your balance, which prevents falls.
We all have jobs that have caused us to be more sedentary, and so we have to move.
That movement can help stabilize the spine. So even if you do have to sit, you don't end up feeling a real pain in your lower back.
A trainer or physical therapist, great way to give you some specifics on functional fitness if needed. Any movement, however, that starts to build strength and improve flexibility, great place to start. In Waiting for Life today, this is National Liver Awareness Month, as we've mentioned, and the National Liver Foundation says many people are at risk for this illness but don't know it. Finding out how to reduce those risks can reduce the odds that you'll need a liver transplant. The foundation says that liver disease is present in up to 75% of people who are above ideal body weight. 6 in 10 people screened will have some form of liver disease. And liver cancer, believe it or not, one of the most rapidly growing causes of cancer deaths in the United States. It has more than doubled since 1980. And with that, that means we have a wonderful, albeit those numbers are scary, introduction into why we have our team here today, because education is such a secret to all this. So tell us a little bit about you, who you are, what you do.
Yes, my name is Lorraine Steele, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the American Liver Foundation, and so glad to be here in Cincinnati with you, Liz, and with these amazing colleagues to talk about something that is so critically important, which is your liver. It's an unbelievable organ, and we need to do so much more to educate people and make them aware of this organ and how to keep it healthy.
And sort of something we take for granted until something goes wrong. Tell us a little bit about you.
My name is Alex Bondock. I'm a pediatric general and abdominal transplant surgeon at Cincinnati Children's, so take care of the comprehensive set of children with liver disease, biliary disease, but also, unfortunately, if their liver fails, we also perform life-saving liver transplants.
And we know that we've learned a lot about that in recent years. You don't need a whole liver for a liver transplant. Tell us a little bit about that.
That's exactly right, and it's actually one of the fastest ways to get a child transplanted because it stands to reason that you can't take an adult's liver and put it into a much smaller child. So we have the capability to take portions of livers, not only from deceased donors, which is the most common way we transplant livers in this country, but also living donors. So we literally have 2 patients in adjoining rooms while my partners and I, a set of partners, will be operating on the living donor who has come forward and is incredibly brave and has gone through an extensive workup to donate part of his or her liver to one of our recipients, a child, because we can fit that smaller piece and the technical aspects into that child.
And then the person who donates, that liver regrows?
It doesn't necessarily regrow. Sometimes the remaining liver gets larger, but during that extensive workup process, a donor will undergo MRI imaging because we would never ever take a portion of a liver or leave that donor with insufficient amount of liver.
Yeah, it is so interesting. We've seen amazing progress. Tell us a little about you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Amalia Boakarang. I am a liver doctor at the University of Cincinnati.
So you do adult.
Yes.
And what I'm wondering is, why don't we hear as much about liver disease as we do breast cancer or kidneys? Why is it just not sexy? Is it just we don't understand it? Or is it just quiet? We don't know. What is it that is so not captivating that the liver we haven't managed to capture?
Yeah. So thanks for having me, Liz. So even though we're all at risk for liver disease, it's silent. And it can liver disease can hide in you for many, many, many years, decades, before you start to feel anything. And usually by the time you feel any complications of liver disease, it's too late and you have to get a liver transplant at that time. That's why it's important to increase awareness so that we're all aware of our risk for liver disease and start working on preventative steps before we actually develop liver disease.
Which is, easy to say and hard to do.
Right. Hopefully when most of us are seeing our primary care doctor and we're getting screened for diabetes, high blood pressure, breast cancer, we speak up and say, doctor, what about my liver? Are you checking my liver test today to see if there's any injury or irritation going on in my liver that I have to pay attention to? Because most liver diseases that end up needing liver transplantation are preventable. They're from eating too much, not exercising enough, drinking too much alcohol, certain high-risk behaviors that puts us at risk for certain viruses that like to live in the liver for decades can put us at risk for cirrhosis, which is scarring of the whole liver cancer. So knowing all of these things and actively working to reduce our risk for liver disease is what this month is all about.
You just named half of the people, at least in America, with one of those conditions. So I'm like, we are really all at risk for that. So, and Don, our wonderful friend, we've had a chance to meet you before, our transplant survivor. How are you?
I'm doing great. In fact, Sunday was 13 years for my liverversary, and I've really enjoyed my 13 years. I'm glad I'm a liver transplant patient. Because it's really taught me to give back, because I knew nothing about the liver, knew nothing about transplant until 2012 when I had mine, and I absolutely love giving back, and that's why it's so important to talk about liver disease, because the liver is the largest organ we have in our body, but yet it's the most forgotten about. And we never, at most physicals, we never check for liver disease or problems because it's not part of the program. And just bringing awareness, I mean, obesity nationally, we're above the national average. We're at more like 47% obesity in the state of Ohio. And I just wanted to bring the awareness of having liver disease and getting checked and how important it is, because as the doctor said, we can control it if found early. And I had liver cancer, but it's still liver disease. There's over 100, and why not be checking the largest organ we have in our body that has more functions within the body than any other organ we have? Why don't we check it?
Yeah, that is a really good question. We're going to have this team stick around for this whole half hour here and maybe answer a few of those questions, because we're not hearing enough about livers.
Right.
And it does. It weighs like 3 pounds or something, doesn't it? Yeah, it's a really big organ in your body. They say it's like a football. I'm like, who ignores a football? All right, we're coming back with them. We'll be right back.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Northern Kentucky Audiology.
Welcome back, everybody. We are continuing our discussion as this is National Liver Disease Awareness Month. Don, our wonderful transplant survivor, brought friends, and you've got powerful friends, my friend. I don't think if I called these people up, they would come and hang out with me. But one of the things that came up is, you said, are you asking about your liver at your doctor's office? No, what do I ask for?
Every time you go to your primary care doctor, ask if you've had a liver panel done in the past year. This is how we get to know whether there's any irritation or inflammation going on in your liver, and then figure out why that is happening.
Now, if I find that out, see, part of the problem is sometimes you'd rather not know. It's silent. I can go. I'd be fine.
Yeah.
Are there medicines now? Are there things you can do to alter that before you would get to the transplant stage?
Correct. So once we find irritation in the liver, we try to figure out what chronic liver disease we're dealing with. Commonly, it's alcohol, which is curable if we can get you to stay away from alcohol. If it's non-alcohol fatty liver disease, things like watching what you eat, a low-fat diet, exercising, controlling your weight can turn that around. Hepatitis C, if you had a lot of fun years ago, or with the opioid epidemic, we're seeing a lot of hepatitis C in young people. That's also curable with medications. We have medicines that we can use to cure hepatitis C before you develop cirrhosis and need a liver transplant.
Yeah. And when you deal with young people, what often brings them in? Are there symptoms? I mean, because you said this is often silent.
Yeah, it can be vague, because I think in conjunction with what you've already heard is the obesity epidemic is not sparing children and adolescents. And so the estimate is that about 10% of adolescents and even children have fatty liver disease, and it's unknown. So there are oftentimes risk factors, the same types of risk factors, diabetes, high blood pressure, things like that bring a child in to see their primary care physician, and they can run screening tests similarly.
Which is heartbreaking, because I know, in nutrition we would see 12-year-olds with high blood pressure now.
Yeah.
We never used to see that.
Right.
And you forget that that's playing a role in the body and starting very young. Right. And I know you are passionate about liver disease, so what'd you bring?
Yes, since the pediatric doctor just spoke, we also have Billy the Brave, the liver lion with courage. He has his own book. We are distributing these to children's hospitals across the country, helping to educate on liver disease, and Cincinnati Children's was among the first, so it's very special. There's 130 liver diseases out there, and a lot of them are pediatric liver diseases, so it's really important for people to understand and be aware.
Yeah. All right. A couple final thoughts, Don. You're the transplant survivor. You don't want anyone to go through that, but if they do need that, what is it you want them to know about that process that you went through?
I visit the patients once a week down at UC Health, and I always tell them there's life after transplant, because that's the biggest fear that you have. What can I do after transplant? Because you have so many fears going into it. But when they're done, I always tell them there's life after transplant. You didn't have a transplant not to enjoy the rest of your life. Listen to the doctors and eat well and follow the doctor's advice, but there is life, and enjoy life. That's why you had the transplant.
Yeah. All right, and I want to give our medical people my final words. If you were going to kind of sum this up, the one thing you find yourself telling people over and over again to try and save a liver is what?
Know your risk factors for liver disease. Speak up. Every time you go to your primary care doctor, ask about, did I get a liver panel checked? Doctor, what are my risk factors? If you're diabetic, you should, every 2 to 3 years, you should be getting screened for liver disease with labs and imaging. And if there is a liver disease found, ask your doctor what can be done to cure or control it. Right.
Do we do that in children?
We do. If they have those identified risk factors, we have, for example, at Children's, we have our own steatohepatitis or a fatty liver clinic, where specialized gastroenterologists have patients who are referred in who have those risk factors that were described, mostly obesity, and have had abnormal liver tests, are brought in to be counseled and to have a holistic evaluation, to talk about nutrition, to talk about exercise, and to try and make it as successful as possible so that it's not just some adult lecturing you about what you should do to not be obese, because there's all kinds of stigmas for all of these pre-existing conditions or these risk factors that make it very difficult to modify. And so we try our best to make it a holistic, positive message.
That is true, because it started with alcohol and the stigma got there. Well, we are out of time, but I do want to make sure we will be putting a link to the Liver Foundation, which has a wonderful summary sort of what you've talked about, and sharing your stories along the way. But please come back. I'd love to continue the conversation. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
Got to take care of our livers. All right, we'll be right back.
Love your liver.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Mount St. Joseph University and Advanced Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center.
In Healthy on the Go, Red Bike expanding in Northside. It is a bike program that also teams up with Metro, so you can ride partway and they'll take you the rest of the way. We'll see you next week, everybody.